This isn't a burger. It's a lab experiment, served in a sesame seed bun. Some of the biggest chains in America are feeding you meat washed in ammonia, glued together with banned chemicals, and passed off as 100% beef. And the worst part? You've probably eaten it this week. So have your kids point one of these chains was caught using meat so contaminated, even the employees wouldn't touch it. Another got busted hiding an additive linked to tumors, but the FDA still lets them use it. What we found will make you sick and angry. And by the time we hit the last chain, you'll want to delete every food app on your phone. McDonald's, the illusion of real beef. You've seen the commercials. The Happy Meals. The golden arches glowing like a beacon of trust. But what if the burger they've served billions was built on a foundation of deception? McDonald's proudly claims 100% real beef. But here's the brutal truth. That label is technically correct and completely misleading. What they don't tell you is this real beef is often treated with ammonia gas, a process meant to kill bacteria but leaves behind chemical residue. It's the same gas used in industrial cleaning products, and it's being used to sanitize meat you feed your children. This process gives birth to something insiders call pink slime, a meat-like paste made from scraps no butcher would dare sell you. It's banned in multiple countries, but not here. In America, McDonald's used it for years, and even when public outrage forced them to say they stopped, quiet industry sources suggest it never fully went away. And what about their buns? Loaded with azotic carbonamide, a chemical also used in yoga mats. Yes, you read that right. A substance found in gym floors, baked into the bread, holding your Big Mac together. It's been banned in Europe and Australia, but in the US? Still legal, still safe, according to corporate defenders, but the betrayal runs deeper. In McDonald's Japan and Europe locations, dozens of these additives are banned, and they proudly advertise cleaner ingredients. So why are American customers still being fed second-tier food? Because we're easier to deceive. Imagine this. You walk into a McDonald's with your child. You hand them a cheeseburger, thinking it's a treat. But what you're handing them is a chemical experiment disguised as a meal. A cocktail of hormone disruptors, industrial byproducts, and lab-born flavor enhancers that hijack the brain's reward system. And yet, people line up daily, smiling, trusting, unaware. The truth is, McDonald's isn't serving nostalgia. They're serving something far more profitable: addiction. Engineered flavors that keep you coming back. Ingredient lists designed to hide the harm. It's not just food, it's food theater. And we've all been part of the audience. But McDonald's isn't the only one. What the next burger chain is doing might be even more dangerous, because their claim to fresh, never frozen may be the biggest lie of all. Wendy's, fresh, never frozen, and never fully honest. They built an empire on one phrase: fresh, never frozen. It sounds pure, trustworthy, like your neighborhood butcher behind the counter, hand-pressing patties with care, but the reality behind Wendy's claim isn't just misleading. It's a calculated branding trick that hides something darker. Because while the meat may technically arrive at stores, never frozen, what isn't talked about is the chemical cocktail inside each bite. Preservatives, binders, fillers, flavor enhancers, all designed to mimic freshness and distract you from the additives that keep those patties shelf-stable for days. And those juicy square burgers? They're cooked on automated grills, slathered with oils laced with TBHQ, a preservative so controversial, it's been linked to tumors in lab animals and behavioral issues in children. TBHQ is banned in countries like Japan, but Wendy's still uses it, because in America, it's cheaper than changing the recipe. Now let's talk sauces. From the Ghost Pepper Ranch to the classic ketchup, Wendy's sauces are packed with high-fructose corn syrup, artificial dyes, and hidden MSG derivatives. These are neurological stimulants that trigger dopamine spikes, not flavor. You're not enjoying the taste. You're being chemically rewarded. And what about those soft, buttery buns? Sounds comforting, right? Until you realize they contain datum, an industrial dough conditioner associated with heart muscle fibrosis. Yes, heart damage from a fast food bun. The betrayal is complete when you realize that, like McDonald's, Wendy's sells a cleaner menu overseas. In countries where regulations are stricter, Wendy's strips out the most toxic ingredients. But in the US, we're left with the chemical version of fast food because it's cheaper, faster, and harder to detect, parents trust Wendy's. It feels like a better option than McDonald's. But behind the smiles and slogans is a system of silent harm, engineered to make you think fresh means safe. But fresh never meant chemical-free, and Wendy's doesn't want you to read the labels. Because once you do, the illusion collapses. But we're just getting started if Wendy's built a lie around freshness, the next chain. They're still haunted by a tragedy they never recovered from. And their food is even riskier now. Jack in the Box, A History of Contamination, 1993. 4 children died. Hundreds were hospitalized. The cause? Jack in the Box hamburgers contaminated with E. coli. It was one of the deadliest fast food outbreaks in American history, and it should have destroyed the brand. But it didn't. Instead, Jack in the Box rebranded, remarketed, and re-entered the market with bigger burgers and louder ads, hoping you'd forget what they served your country, and most people did. But what they didn't change is how they operate. Behind those oversized clown-headed logos is a system that still cuts corners. Low-cost meat sourcing, sloppy prep conditions, additives hidden behind long ingredient lists, and once again, flavor over safety. Today, Jack in the Box still relies on mechanically separated meat, meaning bones, tissue, and tendons are blended into a paste and reformed into patties or chicken pieces. It's not ground beef. It's meat slurry shaped into food-like objects. Their chicken, often injected with saline solutions, preservatives, and texturizers, not for taste, but to artificially boost weight and increase profit margins. And their bacon cheeseburgers? Laced with propyl gallate, a chemical preservative linked to DNA damage and endocrine disruption. It's outlawed in parts of Europe. Still legal, still served. But the biggest betrayal? Jack in the Box has quietly become a dumping ground for experimental food additives, artificial bacon flavors, sweeteners used in sauces that mimic sugar but trigger blood sugar chaos, coloring agents that make the meat look freshly grilled when it may have sat in storage for days. And don't even think about the milkshakes, made with milk solids, artificial vanilla, anti-foaming agents, and stabilizers that coat your gut with substances your body doesn't recognize. Jack in the Box is built on smoke and mirrors and nostalgia. People remember the ads, the jingle, the late-night runs. But what they don't remember is the multi-million-dollar lawsuits, the lost lives, and the poison still being sold, one combo meal at a time. This isn't fast food. It's food with a death toll. And yet, people still line up, unaware that the tragedy that defined this chain may not be over, because what we uncovered at the next burger joint goes beyond ingredients. It's a full-blown health trap hiding behind sex appeal, bacon, and big buns. Burger King, the flame-grilled lie, they call it flame-grilled. You picture backyard barbecue. Real fire, real smoke, real beef. But inside most Burger King kitchens, the grill is a conveyor belt. And those char lines you see on the patties, they're not from fire. They're from a branding trick, either pre-marked in processing plants or sprayed on with liquid smoke additives that create the illusion of fire without ever using it. And that's not the real problem. The real problem is what they don't tell you about the meat itself. Burger King's beef patties are often infused with fillers and binders that aren't listed on the menu. Some sources claim they've used up to 20% filler material in past blends, from textured soy protein to isolated starches. Why? To cut costs, to make the patties thicker, to keep you full on less meat and more chemicals. And they're infamous. Whopper? It may contain propylene glycol, a moisture-retaining agent also found in antifreeze. Legal in small amounts, yes, but still fed to you, hot, wrapped in paper, and eaten with your hands. Let's talk about that paper. Their wrappers are coated with PFAS, also known as forever chemicals. These are linked to hormonal disruption, immune system weakening, and, in long-term exposure, cancer. And guess what? PFAS don't break down. They build up in your blood. So every Whopper wrapper you've ever touched may still be in your body right now. Now take a sip of that soda. Burger King's drinks are supersized sugar bombs laced with artificial sweeteners like a sea sulfame potassium, which has been flagged for potential carcinogenic effects in animal studies. And those fries, coated with a dextrose-based layer that caramelizes under heat, giving them that golden color. But dextrose spikes blood sugar harder than table sugar, and they're fried in oils treated with dimethyl polysiloxane, a silicone-based anti-foaming agent also found in silly putty additives. Not a meal. It's a chemistry project disguised as fast food. Burger King has spent millions crafting an image of bold flavor, real meat, and fire-grilled tradition. But behind the scenes, it's shortcuts, lies, and a toxic flame that never really existed. And if that didn't make you rethink your fridge, your drive-thru habits, or your next lunch break, wait until you hear what we've uncovered in the final section. Because now we're going to ask you something that could change everything. Have you ever felt strange, sick, or just off after eating fast food? Tell us in the comments. Your story could wake someone up. Carl's Jr. / Hardee's, selling sex, hiding chemicals. They don't sell burgers. They sell lust. Carl's Jr. and Hardee's built their brand on barely dressed models, slow-motion bacon flips, and fire-grilled fantasies. But while your eyes are locked on the commercials, your health is being quietly sabotaged because what's inside those towering burgers isn't just indulgent. It's toxic. Let's start with the patties. Marketed as thick burgers, these oversized beef slabs are loaded with textured vegetable protein, TVP, sodium phosphates, and lab-designed flavor agents that mimic fire-grilled taste without the actual grilling. Those grill marks? Often sprayed on. Yes, sprayed. This isn't barbecue. It's visual deception engineered in a factory. And that famous bacon? Cured with sodium nitrite, a preservative linked to pancreatic cancer, especially when exposed to high heat. Carl's Jr. knows their burgers are flame-cooked. So why use an additive that turns deadly under heat? Because it's cheaper, easier, and faster. Now let's talk about the infamous buns. Soft, buttery, golden brown. But what's baked in? Datum. Calcium propionate. Ammonium sulfate. Not seasonings, but industrial dough conditioners and preservatives. Datum has been linked to heart muscle enlargement in animal studies. And ammonium sulfate? A fertilizer. Used in bread. Fed to humans. And it doesn't stop there. Their sauces, these special ones that make the burger pop, are dripping in high-fructose corn syrup, artificial smoke flavor, and caramel coloring. That last one, caramel coloring 3 and 4, which produce a chemical called 4-MeI, a known carcinogen. But here's what makes this betrayal even worse. Carl's Jr. and Hardee's aggressively market to young men. The very group most likely to ignore food labels and most vulnerable to long-term damage from hormone disruptors, preservatives, and sugar overload. They don't just sell junk. They sexualize it, disguise it, and push it like a drug. Wrapped in seduction, delivered in a drive-thru bag, and behind every indulgent ad is a corporation that knows exactly what it's doing. That they've tested your cravings, engineered your addiction, and hid the cost of their profits inside your body. But if you think this is peak betrayal, wait until you see what Burger King is getting away with. Because what they're doing isn't just deceptive, it's dangerously clever. You've heard the names. McDonald's, Wendy's, Jack in the Box, Carl's Jr. Burger King. Chains you've trusted. Chains your kids have begged for. Chains that made billions off of your cravings, while cutting corners, hiding chemicals, and feeding you lies. They knew. They knew about the pink slime, the hormone disruptors, the ammonia baths, the preservatives linked to tumors, the artificial smoke, the forever chemicals in wrappers. They knew, and they served it anyway. Why? Because deception is cheaper than transparency. Now you know the truth, that what looks like food isn't always food, that what smells like comfort might be chemical warfare in disguise, that the system built to feed you might be feeding something else entirely: disease, dependency, and decay. So the real question is this: what will you do the next time you're hungry? Will you walk into a drive-thru and pretend you didn't hear any of this? Will you hand your child that combo meal and hope the packaging isn't leaching cancer into their fingers? Or will you stop and ask, what's really in this? Who profits if I eat it? Who suffers if I don't? Because here's what they fear most. More than bad press, more than lawsuits. They fear awareness. They fear you waking up. They fear you walking away. And if this video made you feel something, disgust, anger, betrayal, even fear, good. What comes next is up to you. But remember this: the next bite you take could be the most important one of your life. Which of these chains shocked you the most? Drop the number in the comments. We're watching the replies closely.